Tying another wet fly today from Ray Bergman's book Trout. This is a fly called the Lady Merton. I don't have any history or information about the fly other than it's in the book, and another one that I wanted to tie up has some interesting techniques. There's some golden pheasant crest in the tail. A number of wet flies will do a hackle, palmered hackle along with the rib, which this one does. That technique is actually common in a lot of spay flies and classic Atlantic salmon flies. Occasionally it shows up in a few wet fly patterns, but just a interesting looking fly, fun to tie. That's the Lady Merton, and I'll get started tying. So I'm going to start the Lady Merton with my hook in the vise. This is a Mustad 33.99 in a size 6. It's just a standard wet fly hook. I'll debarb the hook. The body on this is just a blue-gray dubbing on it. I don't want to darken it up. I could use a black thread, I suppose, because I don't think it's going to darken up that much. But I'm going to go ahead and start with a white thread. This is a Danville 70 denier in white. And that's more out of habit, I think, just anytime, unless it's a black, very dark black body, I generally will put a lighter thread on it. I'm going to attach my thread about an eye length behind the eye of the hook, advance my thread rearward. I'm going to get down to just about the point of the hook here, and then I'll tie in the tail. There is no tag on this. There's just the tail. The tail is some golden pheasant crest. What I've done is taken two of them that are a little bit shorter, and I place them on top of each other. They don't have to be the exact same length as long as you even up the tips back here. What I like to do is just have those on top of each other and tie those in right near, almost near the base. 3 or 4 wraps. That's a little bit long, but that's fine. As long as I have it on top of the hook shank, I get about 5 wraps in there. I can then take these and pull them to the right, and that will shorten them up. Unfortunately, I only pulled one of them. So let me start that over again. Because these are so short, they can be somewhat finicky sometimes. Again, the most important thing is that I have the tips evened up there. This is just to collect these up along the top of the hook shank. And then by grabbing both of those, I'll pull to my right to get the right length that I want. Not that concerned if they're not all nice and collected and pretty together, because as this swims in the water, all of that's just going to flutter in the background anyway. I'm going to trim away the excess here. Now there is a rib on this, which is a silver Mylar tinsel. I'm using a Danville 16 and 18 silver Mylar tinsel. But before the rib, there is also a hackle. There's a black hackle that is palmered along the rib. So we have to tie that in first. I'm using, these are from a whiting bugger pack. These packs are pretty interesting if you get the chance to get one of these, because you get some nice hackles in here for woolly buggers, but you'll also usually find some really, really nice fine hackles here, if you can see that, for dry flies. So these bugger packs are definitely worth it, because you get nice hackles for woolly buggers, but you also get some feathers for other uses. What I've done is taken a feather where the barbs are the length that I need, and I've stripped off one side. So that way, as I palmer that forward, I don't get a really big bushy body. I just have the black legs that I'm looking for and the accent that I'm looking for. I also have stripped off where I'm going to tie that in, a few of the barbs here, which I'll explain in just a minute. I'm going to tie this in on the far side with all of those barbs pointing in a downward direction. Because this is following along the rib, I want to have it on the outside like that. I'll trim away that there. Now I will apply my tinsel for the rib. There it is. Almost lost it. I'm going to tie this with the gold side out, so it will flip over to the silver side. Now it's a dubbed body, so I suppose I could just dub my thread and apply it as I go forward, but I'm going to go ahead and a little bit of wax on my thread. I'm going to advance my thread forward to collect all those materials down, just so that they don't shift or anything as I'm applying the dubbing. Smooth that off a little bit. This also will mask over any of the dark hackles or anything like that. Now I'm taking this is a bluish gray rabbit dubbing. I'm going to apply some dubbing to my thread, probably a 3 or 4 inch dubbing noodle for this. My preference is to go sparse. If I have to, I can always come back down, add a little bit more. You don't necessarily have to have a taper on this when you apply this. I just keep a level body, and I think that looks just fine. And again, I just as soon put it on thin. As you can see, you can overlap a little bit to keep it the right diameter that you want as you advance forward. Keep that thin, and then get the right shape you want and advance forward. Now I'm right up at the end of the body. I will apply the tinsel rib first. 5 even spaced wraps. I'm tying this as a fishing fly. I'm not really going to be concerned about some of these guard hairs sticking out, because they're going to come out regardless as this fly is fished. Now I'll take that hackle, grabbing my hackle pliers. I'm going to wrap this around, palmered around, and it's going to follow along the back side of that tinsel rib. That's part of the reason why I had to tie it on this side, because that's where I put the rib on, and that's where it starts. The other thing is, notice this gap right here along the rachis. There's no barbs sticking off of it. That's so as I am wrapping this in, I don't have any barbs sticking out and mixing in with that tail as it starts to wrap in. I have a space here so that as I wrap this around, notice those barbs now are sticking out nice and perpendicular. I don't have anything blending in with the tail portion of the fly. Just follow along the back edge of that silver tinsel. Flies like this, I like to, when I come up to the front here, just put in one extra wrap, and just because it makes it look a little bit more finished up front than if you just put in half a wrap and tie it off. That's just me. Trim away the excess hackle. Smooth this off a little bit, securing all of that in, making room for the throat and the wing and the head of this. Bring my thread down to the eye of the hook. Now I'm going to attach my black thread. This is a 70 denier Danville and black. A little wax on my thread. Secure the white thread and that tag, and I can trim that away. Bring my thread back to the end of the head space here a little bit. This is where the throat's going to go in. There's a throat of scarlet. I'm using some red Schlappen for this. Like all the other throats, you'll just prep your barbs there. You're going to get these. They're going to go back between the point and the barb of the hook here, but because of those hackles, they pretty much just kind of get pointed downward. That's all right. Put that in a little pinch and loop right there. Might have to fudge that a little bit. Make certain that's all down there. Trim away the excess. Careful with your thread wraps here because you're in some tight spaces getting that throat in and the wing for this Lady Merton. Spreading those down, those hackles, I should say the barbs down just a little bit and out of the way for the wing. The wing is just some mallard flank. And I've got just a nice kind of a long mallard flank feather here. It's fairly even off the end. What I'm going to do is strip away some of this fluff down here at the bottom. There's different ways that you could use mallard flank to tie in wings. My favorite or most common method is to get a nice feather that's pretty even and full on both sides. I'm going to clip out the center portion right here to open that up, and then I don't need these shorter barbs here. I'm going to fold the two of these together to make the wing. Sometimes it takes a time or two to get it the way you want it, but I'm basically going to fold those two together, and it's just going to give me a nice little wing like this in the full wing. You could find some mallard flank in there if you wanted to that had nice big feathers that you could cut some slips out if you want. I just find, especially for fishing, this works just as well, and I don't have to fiddle with getting just the right feather. That gives me the wing I'm looking for. Secure that down. And I'll trim away the rest of that. Now it's just a matter of cleaning this up. Bring my thread down to behind the eye of the hook. Start shaping the head. We just want to cover up any butt ends of that mallard flank or the throat. Just enough on here so that we get a nice shaped head. It's nice and secure. You see there's a little bit of mallard flank showing through in those threads. I'm not going to really worry about it because I'm going to put a couple coats of clear lacquer on here and then a coat of black lacquer. That's going to cover up any of that. I would rather leave just a little bit of that showing, like I've got just a little bit right there. I'd rather leave that showing than try and add a few more thread wraps and potentially bulk the head up more than I want it to. Plus, you can also use your whip finish like this to potentially cover up anything that maybe you still had that needed covering. Get the head complete on that, and I will put some fly tight on there. This is a thin head cement alcohol base that just goes on real thin and soaks right down in there to secure all those thread wraps. And then, like I said, I'll come back and put 2 coats of a clear lacquer and another coat of a black lacquer on there just to give it that nice shiny glossy head. So that is the Lady Merton, another Ray Bergman fly from the book Trout. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. But what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.